again, just want to reiterate, we'll be doing like a back and forth session. So whenever I ask you guys some feedback, some questions, you guys can come back to me. Don't be shy to turn on your camera, turn on your mic, and so on and so forth. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so you guys can see, right? Yeah, okay. Right, so just a brief introduction of myself first. My name is Regan Khan. I was once a student here in this coding bootcamp and am now working as the instructor. So previously I was also making a career switch. So previously I was working as a mechanical engineer, now moving into the tech industry side. So if you guys are thinking the same thing, if you guys are thinking like, I want to make a career switch, but I'm not sure if it's possible, trust it, trust the process. I've been there and I know exactly what you guys are facing. So yeah, let's get to it. So this is Sigmaschool. We are one of the top coding bootcamp in Southeast Asia. If you go through our course reports, there's a lot of like great ratings, great satisfaction rate. We've been doing this for over 3 years. There's like about 50 plus graduates now currently working in the tech. After this, in the slides, I'll go through the previous graduates that also came from a different background, and after they've worked with us, they managed to land a job already. So I'm also one of them. So if you guys have any interesting questions on like how you guys did it, how does Regan Khan did it, don't be shy, just let me know. Right, you guys can see this, right? All right, just double checking. So these are our top enterprise of hiring partners. So once our students have graduated, they have a chance to apply to all of our hiring partners. If you guys are from Malaysia or not, you guys may have heard some of these famous companies. One of them is Grab, Bijak, Hayatly, Cliff. Yeah, so these are all of our hiring partners that most of the graduates has a chance to apply for. Right, so this is the one that I was talking about. So these are the previous students that has worked with us. Some of them came from a medical background. Some of them came from a mechanical engineering background. Some of them also came from a project engineer. So all of these people are our past students. They are now currently working in the tech industry. So as you can see, they all came from different background, technical operations, coach, and so on and so forth. And this is our and over the past 3 years, we've appeared in a number of press to talk about our mission, our vision, what's our goal. Really is really just to really give opportunity for people like me and you guys to have a chance to work in the tech industry, because it's totally possible. If you're under a correct curriculum with us, it's definitely possible to land a job. So if you're interested, can check out one of these famous programs over here. One of them is like BFM. It's a famous radio station in Malaysia. Okay, so today we'll be covering variables and functions. Don't worry about this part here. I'll get to it. So basically, variables and functions are the sort of the cornerstone of how you tell the computer to do things. So once we go through with this, we'll be going through like a couple of coding sessions. Hold on, there's like someone joining in. Let me just admit. Hello. Yeah, we've just started, so you're not too late on that part. So again, I'll just reiterate, today we'll be covering variables and functions. So once I go through the slides, we'll go through like a code along sessions. You guys have a chance to solve some of the problems here, and I'll solve it together with you guys. Right, so to understand the entire body of how the code works and all that, there is these three main factors. These three main languages that you guys is the fundamentals of how the computer reads the code. So first thing first, there's HTML. HTML is basically like the skeleton, how you construct the body of the code. Like basically, for example, in this case, there is like, oh, I want 2 hands and 2 legs. But in the coding world, we have the entire freedom to make it like I want 3 hands and 4 legs. I want 2 heads. So there's a lot of flexibility. So as you can see, HTML is basically quite important. So it is what set the foundation of it. Not to say HTML is the only foundation. These three are the main foundation. So HTML is the skeleton. CSS is basically creating like is basically styling the skeleton. For example, after making the skeleton, you would want to have a yellow shirt. So I want this shirt to be yellow and I want these pants to be blue. So that's one of the many examples of how you can style. So CSS is basically the skin of it. Like for the hair here, I want to make it blonde. I want to make it brunette. I want to have mustache. That sort of thing. So CSS is the skin. And JavaScript, which is what we'll be doing most of the session for today and the upcoming workshops. JavaScript is the brains. So this is the one that you would really think the logic of how the computer thinks. How can you give the proper instructions to the computer to do what you want to do what you're asking for? So JavaScript is the brains. So if you guys know there's like JavaScript, Python, those are like the many languages, coding languages in the coding world. JavaScript is one of the most popular one and is the most versatile programming language. All right. So today again we'll be covering variables and functions. Variables is basically how you store data effectively. So ever wondered, like when you guys go through like Instagram, there is like the like counters, the like counters where it shows like, oh, there's 50 likes, there's 1,000 likes. Whenever you turn off the app, whenever you close Instagram and you go back in Instagram to the next day or another time when you open Instagram, the like counters remains the same. It's 50 likes. Ever wondered how? It is basically because of variables. Variables is how we store data effectively. Let me make one more. Hi, Jaden. Hello. Hope you guys can hear me. So we just started the session today. So we'll be covering variables and functions. Okay, so for those who've heard of me, who've heard the previous thing that I just said, so far, do you guys understand what are variables?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Nice. Okay, you can just give me a quick thumbs up also, but I'll appreciate if you guys can also speak out also, so I'm not alone. Thanks, Jaden. Thanks, Africa. Yep. So variables is basically how we store data effectively. So to give you guys a visualization, you can think of putting something inside a box. So in the box here, in this box here, it's called weight, and inside the box here, it is 65. So this is so it's basically in coding world, it's basically a lot of boxes, because that is how we store things, that is how we store data, how we store numbers into the code. And once we store the code and once we store the numbers, that is how we actually play around and do whatever functions that we want. Oh, sorry. Is this also applicable for Python? Yeah, in Python and JavaScript and many languages, they are sort of similar. Basically, it's just the main difference is the way how they call things is very different. They are literally computer language, and in human language, for example, we have English, we have Chinese, we have Japanese. you can call the same thing, like for example, if I'm ordering food, if I'm ordering food, those three things means the same thing. It's just the way how they structured it is differently. So the logic that we're teaching here can be applicable to many of the foundational languages, such as Python. Hope I answered that question, Fatin. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. How about React? So React is another. So React is another level. React is basically making. React is basically making the work of the JavaScript much shorter and much more consistent. Because when it comes to the working world, if you're just purely if you're just purely using JavaScript, the code block can be really big, can be really long, and it's not very effective to reread. So whenever, like for example, you give the task to someone else, they have to read the whole code, which is very big. So React is basically how it formats the entire JavaScript, HTML, and CSS into a much easier way. So React is basically just another level of it. So for now, we're just covering the foundation, because if you want to learn React, you need to learn these three things. These three things is super important. So variables has a different way on declaring it. These are the three main things. Declaration of keywords. There's a const, let, and var. Most of the time, we'll be using const and let. So later I'll be describing what's the difference between the var, const, and let. Okay, const is basically a short form for constant, and it basically means you're storing a variable, and you can't change. You can never change this one. If you're asked to change, they will have an error already. In a coding world, we call this immutable values. Someone's joining. Yeah, in const points equals 67. We won't be able to change the value of this anymore already. There will be an error. So const is how we declare. Points is basically just the label of the variable. In this part here, points, you can write it as anything. For example, const height equals 5 feet 7. That is sort of thing. Const box equals 3. There's 3 boxes. Const age equals to 67. That, for example, that is basically what it means. Equals is one of the many operators we assign. So equals just means points equals to 67. It's as simple as that. And after that, once you put the value 67 is just the value of the points up. After this, you can see there's like a dot and a comma at the bottom there. So this expression just basically means it is a full stop. It's not necessarily needed every time, but it's a good practice to use. So it's basically saying const points equals 67, full stop. In the sentence form, if you don't have a full stop, the sentence will keep getting longer and longer, right? So this is a good practice to show that this is the end of my code. So far so good in const part, because we'll be using const quite constantly. All good. Thanks, Samira. Let's see. Thanks, Johannes. All right, okay. All right, nice. So far so good, everyone. And now we'll get into the let. So this section here, this section is how code looks like. This is what we call a code editor. So it's just a way for us to input some codes here and yada. Just like if you want to paint, you use the most basic program, which is MS Paint. So that's how you paint. In coding world, this is our code editor. Okay. All right. Let. Let is basically the opposite version of const. So const, you can't change the value. Let, you can change the value. So it's a bit more freedom to it. And if you're wondering if you're wondering why do we need these two ways to declare values, it depends on your code, and it depends. For example, like if I want const likes to be for example, if I want to create an account, I'll have if I want to create an account and create a password, the password can never change, right? It has to remain the same. So that's why in that case, you need to use a const password equals to 123 or whatever password you want to put. If you write let password equals to 123, and when the code gets bigger, you may declare the same thing, it will change the password. So we don't want that. We want everything to be consistent and as freedom as much as possible. So most of the time you'll be using const and let. So for example, in this case here, let equals to variable. I am let variable here equals to 67. Let variable 2 equals to 99. So for example, let's say if I remove this part here, or let's say if I call this, oops. So right now I'm calling these two out variables, and it should print out 67 and 99 at the same time. Let me just add some comments on this. If you're wondering what are these gray things, it's basically just making sure whenever we run the code, this part, the one that's highlighted here, is only proccing, it's only triggering only. So this part here won't trigger. The reason why I add the comments here is because if I run this program, the answer of this also will proc. Yeah, this one also the same thing. So let me just, it's just telling the PC, I don't want this thing to be included when I run. So whenever you run, you just type here, node test.js. Test.js is basically the file name. So here I'm just saying I want this file name, I want this file to run. So when I click enter, let me just get this bigger. So yeah, see, because let variable is a let part here, so the code runs from top to bottom. So if I remove this part, oops, if I remove this part, it will call 67 only. Let me just save and I call back again, net test.js. It will call 67. So it calls twice because I'm using this console.log. Later, I'll go through what is console.log. So when I put this back in, because the most updated code is this part here, because it reads from top to bottom, it only shows the 99. So if I call again this part, calls back 99 again. So that's the reason why we have the let value. All right, so what we covered const, and now is let. So far so good, everyone. Like I said, these two things are very, very important, because once you guys understand this, we'll be using this knowledge to apply in our code exercise that we'll be doing later. So far so good, everyone. If you guys have any questions, can also let me know. I think everyone is good. Everyone. Thank you, Samira. Okay, I think this is this should be fine. Once we go through the exercise, it will be much more easier to digest. So don't worry, you guys can ask me any questions anytime. Okay, let's move on to the next part here. All right, so console.log. Console.log, you will be using this thing, or you'll be seeing this word many times when you're using JavaScript. If I'm not mistaken, Python, you use the print word, right? For JavaScript, we'll use console.log. Console.log allows us to see what the computer is showing to us. So when we type a very long code, if you type very long code, you want to see what it prints out, you use console.log. Is to show that at the end of this entire code, it is showing me this. And if it's correct, then it's good. If it's wrong, then you know. Console.log allows us to see what the computer is thinking. And it's also the primary tool for us to debug any to check if there's bugs, to test our code. In essence, console.log is actually a function. If you see here, there's a yellow, the text here is yellow, the rest here are blue. When it becomes yellow, it's actually turning into a function. Let's say if I remove this part here, if I call this out, there'll be an error. Yes, let me get this bigger. Yeah, see, there's an error already. See, console is not a function. So because of that, we need to add the .log. This is a must already. You can't change this. You can't change to log1. You can't change this to log12. Let's see. Test.js. Again, they'll plug the same thing. Console log12 is not a function. So you have to keep it console.log. This is the formula. Just like 2 plus 2 equals to 4. If you answer 44, then I think that's wrong with that. Okay, so yeah, console.log is basically a function. We use this to execute or to call a variable to see what the computer is showing to us. Okay, let's do some challenges first. Let me send you guys this link. So far, so good, everyone. Oops, this is not. Yeah, it should show this page. Can you guys see? Give me this is very important. Give me a thumbs up once you're in this page. Thank you, Johannes. Thank you, JS. JavaScript. Thank you. Any more? These are, yeah. I want to make sure that you guys are in the same boat, same page that I'm in right now, so that we can proceed. Okay, I think everyone is good. So once you're in this page, I want you to click this fork button. Fork function basically means I want this thing to be duplicated, and after that I can rename this file name to whatever I want. So once you duplicate it, it is completely yours already. You can do whatever you want. You can test some code. This is a good introduction to how you're going to practice your code. So I can show you a demo. Once you click fork here, it should show a loading. A pop-up function, a pop-up thing will appear. Project has forked. To double check, the name here has become duplicated. So after this, you can change to, for example, Reagan's variables tests or questions. Yeah. Okay. Let me guys give me a thumbs up once you guys have already passed this. Thank you, Samira. Thank you, Ronnie. All right, cool. Okay, let's get to it. Right. Challenge 1. Create a variable name and assign your name as a function. Okay, so if this is your first time seeing this this whole thing, basically this is a code editor. This is how we write code. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the left side here. Your main focus should just be in the middle right here and the bottom. The bottom is the one that is going to show you the answer. So for now, we'll put into a test on what we learned previously, and we try to apply it here. So const variables is basically saying let create a variable name and assign your name as a string. So it's basically saying let let name equals to what's your name. So if you can't just write, for example, Reagan, because in this code, we can try. Let's test it out first. In the coding world, you're going to do a lot of testing to see how the computer reads. Yeah, there should be an error here. Reagan is not defined. So basically, it's saying, in order to turn this into a proper string, we have to put the semicolon, the double lines, part. So when you write Reagan and you save, so if you want to save quick, because once you type here, you can't execute the code. It will you need to save it first, then only you can run the code. So this is a quick tip. If you want to save this code, you can just right click here, you can just press Ctrl S and you should save here. If it's not, you can just press the button here, save. The top left button here, save. So once it's saved, that means it's gonna run this code. So if I run this part here, no variables .js. Oops, did I do hide? Oh, okay, wait. This one remove first. Yeah. Okay, so now it's just focusing this part. Again, if I type, if I run again, it should work this time. Wait. What's it? And your name is a string. Oh, because I haven't called it yet. Yeah. So for now, we'll just do this part here. So this is how this is your first variable that you've ever created. Let name or const, but for now we can use let name equals to Reagan or whatever your name is. So this one's very simple. We're done already with challenge 1. So the reason why there's this the reason why this thing doesn't appear is because I'm not calling it. For example, let's say if I console.log name, let's say if I call this name, I save, and if I call this out again, it should print out Reagan. But the reason why it didn't print out is because I didn't write it here. But that's not necessarily. This is our first lesson. We're going to go through how to create a variable. So let name equals to this one. So we won't be going through all the challenges depending on the time. So I think for now, I'll just go through challenge 1 and challenge 2, because after this, I will cover functions already. So challenge 2, create a const variable, first name, and assign the string value to it. So create a const variable, const first name equals to, for example, first name is Reagan. It's my name. Put this thing. Const last name equals to Khan. So that's my last name. After this, you will print out. You want to print out this thing. So, for example, like there's numerous ways you can do this. You can just do it this way. First name, copy, and then you can do it this way. So once I call this, you call Reagan and Khan based on this. It's not calling this. This is a small letter, so it didn't call this. It called this one. Someone is joining. Give me a second. Okay. Now, use console.log function to print a string that combines first name and last name using template literals. So let's remove this thing. So template literals is basically you do this, this one. In in a regular keyboard, it should be at the top left corner, like around around all of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should be on the far left side, far top left. So once you have this thing, you can write people call me, put a $sign and a curly bracket in between. So when it becomes blue, that means it's working already. So in this curly bracket, we're going to write first name, and we're going to write again last name. Okay. So when I call this out, it should write people call me Reagan Khan. So I call this thing again. There we go. People call me Reagan Khan. So this is just one of the many ways. Okay, so this is a snippet on what a function is. Let's say like I have another name, Ali. I save this. I run the code again. It will be different one, because this is calling this part here. It's not calling this one. It is calling the blue one here. So that's why variables is very important, because we are essentially calling this thing, and the value here can be anything that we want. So that's why if you think on a big code, this is how we call out the variables, and we don't need to worry what the value is. Okay, everything so good. Everything good so far. Pitana, thank you. If this is your first time, hopefully this isn't too complicated. This isn't too complicating. But basically, right now we are just basically calling out the variables and putting them all in one string, one line. So far, so good, everyone. Thank you, Ronnie. Yeah. If any questions, just let me know also. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, we're done with this. All right. Now we'll get to the second part of our session for today. I'm going to cover functions. So functions allow programmers to organize instructions into single reusable code. So let me just remove this. So this is the one this was the one that I was calling out, so that I don't confuse you guys. Okay, just remove this part. Yeah. Okay, save. Okay. Yeah. So this is a function. To write function, you write the word function and the name of the function. This one, it can be anything you want. It can be function number generator 12. But make sure when you call this out, it should be the same thing. So there's going to be a lot of cases where maybe you like mistypo something. So it has to be exactly what you call. So function number generator, and in this case, we let num equals to 10. We let num equals to 10. Num here is just saying number lah. It can be anything also, num1. But again, you have to write num1 and num1 here, because if you don't call that out, computer won't recognize what is num. They only recognize num1. All right. For those who have joined, right now I'm covering the second section of today's workshop. Right now I'm covering functions. So maybe I'll just run this code, test.js. Again, if you see there's like a white dot here, you just press Ctrl S or to save, so the white dot is gone. Then when you run this code, let me get this bigger. There we go. Yeah, okay. So 99 here is calling these two things. So you can just ignore that part here. So here is calling 15 and 10. You see, console.log num plus 5. So here is just showing. Let me just show it to you guys. Oops. Yeah, I'll put it side by side lah, so you guys can see exactly what's going on. This is basically just showing num plus 5. Num here is 10. This is basically what it's showing. And the bottom here is showing num equals to 10. So that's how we got 15 and 10. Okay. So functions, as you if you can imagine, functions is really, really important, because when the code gets very, very big, we need a way to call, we need a way so that we don't, we need a way to create an efficient code and as short as possible. So that's why we need to call this out. Let's say in some world there is no function now, I will need to retype this again and again and again, over and over again, just for my whole code to run. Now because that I've already created a function, I can call this function a number of times. So let's say if I type again number generator, so you have to put the smooth bracket, the smooth curve bracket, in order to put this as a function. If you don't write this out, it won't work. So when I save this, so 15 and 10 here, these two digits, ignore the 99. 15 and 10 here should run again. So if I run this out again, there we go. 15 and 10, 15 and 10. And I can call this numerous times. So here I write, okay, quite a lot. So it's going to be, it's going to spam a lot of 15 and 10s. So if I write this, let me get this bigger. There we go. Yeah, 15 and 10, 15 and 10. So I can call this function as many times as I want. And if I want to make any changes, rather than going through going through like each and every function here, I can just change here. Let's say num equals to 20. So it should be printing out 30 and 10. So if I call this out, again, 30 and 10 already. So I just need to change this part, because this is the main function, and add anything, anytime I call out this function, it will just print out the same thing as what the formula is, what I'm suggesting, is what I'm asking the computer to do it. Okay, so far so good, everyone, in this part. Because after this, we'll be going through our last exercise for today. Thank you, Johannes. I think this is quite okay already. Let's move on to the next one. Okay. Oops. I think I overshot it already. Yep. Okay. Now, functions with parameters. Parameters is how we call, like, for example, function add. This part here is the parameter x and y. So whenever we call this function, we can, this function is dynamic. We can put whatever numbers we want, and it will just follow. So 5 is x, 2 is y over here. And after this, when we return total, it should print out, it should call out the add here, 5 plus 2, and it should print out 7. So function here is function here is to declare this is the function block. So after when you write the parameter, the curly bracket over here, you put the curly bracket here, and inside this thing is what is going to run the function. So add is the name of the function. This one you cannot change. It has to be add. So it can be add, it can be subtract. This one you have to follow exactly. X and y is the parameters, and the curly bracket is the function body. After this, you write the word return. So return is just returning out the output of the value. It's just another way of console.log, but this is a much cleaner way. You just write return total. Console.log has a much more precise way on what you want to show. Return is just going to return whatever is inside this code block. and 5 is the arguments. These are the values that you want to add. So this one can be very dynamic, depending on your project. So it can be for now it can be 7 and 5 add together, it will be 12. Okay. All right, let's go through our second last code tutorial for today. Let me post this on the chat here. Let me pin this one now. I unpin the first one. Okay. Same thing. You will once you click this link. Oops. Once you click this link, you should show this part here. Should show this part here. Give me a thumbs up once you guys are in here. Thank you, Fatin. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you. Thank you, MP Tana. All right. Let's move on. So, don't be afraid. There's a lot of like, the question could be very long, but it's very simple once you break it down. So for now, I'll be going through the first challenge. So whenever we have these workshops, you guys are free to try to go through the challenges here that we have prepared for you guys. So now for today, I'll just go through challenge 1. Okay, let's get through it. Okay, create a function named triple that accepts a number and returns the number multiplied by 3. So here we write function triple. You put the parameter and you put the code block here. So this is how you write a function. If you call this function out, it won't run on. So you need to write anything that's inside the code block here. So for now, create a variable triple. Okay, so when it says triple, triple is here. Create a variable triple and assign it the result of calling the triple function with the argument of 3. So in this case, like what we previously learned, it's basically asking us, I want this function to return the answer that has already triple the answer already. So return num times. So this is how you write times. You don't write the big X. You put the star. So num 3. So once you're done with that, we need to call out what is triple. Triple is equals to triple 3. So this is a function here, and this is a parameter. So if I call this out, console.log triple. So let me run this program here. Function.js. Oops, an error. Cannot find functions. Oh, it's functions. Okay, see, very typical error you make. So let's call this out again. So basically, just now I wrote function. It's supposed to be function as functions because I'm calling out this file name over here. Oops. Yeah. So once you type function.js, you press enter. They are not right. Let me try again. No, functions.js. There we go. Yeah. So just a small typo over here. So note functions.js, and over here it says 9. So this num is the parameter of this function. So maybe just for like simple sake, maybe I'll just call this calculator. Calculator. And this calculator helps me to return any number times 3. So for example, since I renamed calculator, I have to change this part here also. Anything that is triple, I have to put it to calculator. And this is the parameters I want. Let's say if I put 12. So in this case here, it's showing me num. Let me just space out here so you can see side by side. So it's just saying this num equals 12 times 3, because I put the 12 over here. So it is recognizing. So this code runs, it goes back to here. Num times 3 equals to 36. So when I saved here and I run the code functions, functions calculator. Oh, right. Okay, it should work. Yeah, because I called this out calculator. Should be calling out this triple. So not functions. Yes, there we go. 36. So that is how we write functions. Okay. Any questions so far? Or is this very clear already? Very good. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you, Ronnie. Yep. So this is how we run functions, and it's how we call variables. Variables is essentially just putting a value inside a box, and once you got that down, you can use that variable. In this case, the variable here is actually called triple. So you see, variable and functions goes hand to hand. So this is really the fundamental of how you do operations, of how you code things to let the computer know that I want you to do this. So whenever I call out, so whenever I call this out, it will print 3 times already. 36. So I can call this out many times. It's the same thing as function, so I can call out the functions many times. Okay, I think everyone's clear. You guys got any questions? We still got a couple of time. I can take in your Q&A, everything. Don't be shy, I can just speak up. If all good, then just give me a thumbs up lah. Thank you, Epitana. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, I'll just share this part here. All right. We come to the end of today's workshop session. If you guys are interested, you can join our Discord community. We'll be doing workshop events every Wednesday. So the next session will be next Wednesday. Feel free to RSVP your slot over here. And if you guys are also interested in what coding is all about, you can go to this link over here. And if you guys are really interested in what the bootcamp is all about, if you guys are really serious, feel free to sign up in this link. Let me send the links over. Okay, just give me a second. Okay. There we go. So I'll pin this one. I'll unpin the previous one. So yeah, those are our links. If you guys are interested, feel free to just click any of these. Discord community, we are quite active. All of the alumni members, the current members, anything you have any questions regarding coding, if you guys have any question on like should you proceed with this, I'm very unsure in this kind of case, just reach out to us in the Discord community. Our community here are quite friendly. Don't worry if it's a quote unquote dumb question. There's no such thing as a dumb question. If you don't ask those questions, you will forever remain quote unquote dumb. So yeah, we still got a bit of time. If you guys have any questions, can just feel free to come up. If you guys want to just say a quick thanks. Thank you.